All right, this is the last part of my political views. I understand that there are a bunch of topics out there. I just can't cover all of them, and I just cover those that I deem more important, not only more important, but more obvious, more abundant in our society right now. So this is part four of my political views, and I got two topics left that I'd like to discuss. And the next topic is immigration. Now, you look at American history, and people came here from Europe. And they came here seeking a new world, a better life, and opportunity. And even though there were all these people from Europe, different countries, that in a way hated each other, and I'm thinking about a lot of people hated the Irish when they came over. Or people hated the Italians, or I guess a lot of people hated a lot of people back then. I'm sure there were Americans back then, like now, that don't like certain groups of people coming into their country. But one of the beauties of our country is we are a melting pot. And the unfortunate thing is I do have to recognize the fact that some people were forced over here. But what I like about this country is we're a very colorful country. We got people from all over the world in this country. They bring with them their culture. They bring with them their food, their music, their dancing, and even their religion. And seeing how our country is supposed to be a country of freedom, people get to practice their different religions. People get to share their cultural food with other people, and I'm mostly thinking of Mexican and Chinese food, Japanese food, all that kind of stuff. People come here from all these different countries, and they make their restaurants, and they share their food, their culture with other cultures. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Our country is a country of mutts. Our country is a melting pot, and it's beautiful. However, we have reached a point in the world. We've reached a time where anyone can come here, and that came across a little wrong. Anyone can come here, but now you have people coming here that are questionable. At the time of recording, I guess there are cannibal gangs in Haiti. Or you hear about the cartels in Mexico and all of the atrocities that they're doing with human trafficking, rape, the drugs coming in. And there are a lot of people, I'm sure they're probably on the left, no, that's not happening, all that kind of stuff. The reality is we really don't know whether if those things are true or not. We need to secure the border, and we need to verify if what is happening or not. Whether if it's true or not, we need to understand, and we need to know who exactly is coming in, whether if they're good or bad. And a lot of people are going to probably hate this, but in the words of Donald Trump, you can come here, but you have to come here legally. And people are going to say things like, you can't call them illegals. And it's like, well, if you're here illegally, what does that make you? Undocumented? Oh, you're documented, all right. Some of these people have work, and they're definitely documented. How do you think ICE finds them and deportates them? They're just here illegally. And it's hard. And it's hard because I've heard both sides. I've seen both sides too, where there are people from countries, they come here for work and they come here for college. Here's a great example. In my last video I mentioned in the topic of racism that I have been burned the most when it came to the Hispanic community. And when I moved back to Washington, I actually dated I actually dated an illegal, and I knew she was illegal. But I didn't mind that she was illegal because she came here. She was undocumented, but she was working. She was going to college. She is one of the immigrants that there was complications with her being a legal citizen. It would have been easier to just be illegal, but while they were here, they were trying to prove their weight in gold. And I actually could respect that. I could get on board with that. Hey, yeah, you should go through things legally. You should do things the right way. But, you know, what you're doing now is you are contributing to our society. You're a good immigrant. What you are doing is great. You're doing probably more than most. But I've heard the other side of it where, and this is a story that came from my coworker, is he married a Latina, and they are happily married. But one of the conflicts that he has is her parents are here illegally, and they came here. They refuse to speak English. They refuse to work. They take advantage of the programs that are given to them. And he vented to me one day that I love my wife, but her parents have got to go. They are taking advantage of the American taxpayer, and they drive me nuts, especially considering that I can't have a conversation with them, and they blatantly refuse to learn English. This is America. We should be speaking English. They should be learning English. And going back to the lady that I dated, she took it upon herself to learn English, and her English improved over the time that we dated. Kind of where the burn come in, a little bit off topic. Kind of where the burn came in is I actually invited her to have Thanksgiving with my family, and the week prior she blocked me, and it just was kind of a slap in the face that things were building up to what was supposed to be a relationship. We would talk every Wednesday. We would talk about our week. We would talk about what we wanted in a relationship. And we were very comfortable with each other. I invited her to Thanksgiving, and she blocked me, and it hurt. Like, I don't know what I did or said to make her block me. The last time I talked to her, I thought it went great, but she blocked me. And that's just one of many examples, one of many stories where the Hispanic community has burned me. But whatever her reasoning is, she's doing well, and I don't blame every Hispanic that is in my life, because that's just blatant racism. But for immigration, the way I see it is I'd be all for it if people actually did come here through a port of entry, came here legally, went through the process, and if they came here to work, that's great. If they came here for college, that's great. And yes, I do believe that there should be programs to help these people to get on their feet. Because let's be honest, most of them probably come here poor. They do. The countries that they come from are probably poor countries. But at the end of the day, there probably is some hidden thing that we the people don't know about. That why is it so hard for people to come here? Why is it hard for people to become legal outside of a green card? But that being said, I definitely do not want the people that are murderers, rapists, drug dealers, sex traffickers, human traffickers, I definitely don't want those people coming over. To implement those people into our society endangers everyone, regardless of your political stance. You look at the people that have been now and again and again, this might be the propaganda that I might be watching on Twitter up until the State of the Union, where Joe Biden, and I apologize because I'm blanking like Joe Biden himself right now. He called that lady Lincoln. He recognized that she was killed by an illegal, but she is one of many people that have been killed by illegals, And even then, he messed up the name, which I think says a lot about him as a leader. But I'm no, as I sit here, I'm blanking on her name, and I'm just as bad as him right now. So I take that. But the reality is as of currently, there are a lot of bad people coming over the border, and even though I don't agree with Joe Biden, even he did recognize it. I'm very concerned. Like this country is my home. I'm very concerned who comes into my home. If you're invited here and you act as a civilized individual, coming here willing to work and contribute to our society, by all means. But there is a little bit of hypocrisy where you have politicians saying, oh, come one, come all, regardless of where you're from and your criminal history. Sure, you let them into the country, but why does your house have a fence around it? Are you trying to keep people out? Who are you trying to keep out? Bad people? Maybe we're trying to do the same thing at the border, where we're trying to keep bad people out. How do I get into your house? Oh, through the gate and then through the front door. Okay, well, same thing should be in America, where you come through a port of entry, it'll be processed. Hey, where'd you come from? Why are you here? Are you trying to seek asylum? Are you a criminal? We need to know these things before letting you in, because we don't want to let bad people in. And that's for everyone's safety. Again, regardless of your political affiliation, everyone deserves to be safe, which is also why I believe in the Second Amendment, because, well, someone with a gun isn't going to mess with another person with a gun, because now they're just putting their lives on the line. The last thing, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the first video, being left alone versus control. I believe with all of the high taxes that the left implements and all of those taxes going to social programs that I don't agree with, and looking where our tax money is going, especially with Ukraine and Israel, only to find out that, hey, the military is having budget cuts or infrastructure is not being taken care of here in the country. You get for who you vote for. And that goes for both sides. And that's understandable. You can't have the best of both worlds. I wish Medicare and the environment was taken more serious in this country. But there's no one on the right that's going to be willing to do that, which is unfortunate. But there are other things on the right that I value more than, unfortunately, those two things, despite how much I do want better environment and cheaper healthcare. And for those of you who know about the VA, well, Richardson, Nate, you technically have free healthcare with the VA. Yeah, but it's not 100% the most reliable. And I mentioned that in one of the previous videos. But you also look at where we came from as a people. Now, I'm not saying that we need to go back to being cavemen, or the caveman times, or the Stone Age, or the Bronze Age, and I'm not saying everyone was 100% left alone during those times either. I do believe that taxes are unfortunately a necessary evil where if you're going to be a part of society, you need to contribute to infrastructure and the military, first responders. That's part of being a part. That is part of being in a society, a functioning society. The problem today is taxes are being taken advantage of. Everyone's paying higher taxes than they were 3 years ago, higher taxes than they were 10 years ago, way higher taxes than we were 100 years ago, especially 200 years ago. I think that the income tax when this nation was founded was less than 2%. Can you imagine that? Less than 2%. Now everyone's paying 20% plus. The thing is, and this is a good segue into where I want to live and why, and that's why I decided to do politics first compared to moving, is I'm willing to pay taxes, hopefully, and I cross my fingers that they go towards the right programs, especially the programs that I believe in. But the problem is you look at how angry people are these days. You look at the amount of break-ins that I've personally had, the amount of crime is rising, inflation's rising, food is not only processed in a manner where it's unhealthy, but it's also expensive. And apparently, it is a notion on Twitter that, from what I'm about to say, is considered far extreme right. And to that, I disagree because at the end of the day, I just want to be left alone. And I can't help but feel that there are going to be some people, and I don't know if the left actually does see it this way or not, but apparently, when you try to distance yourself from society, um, that is where they see you as a far right extremist. You need to conform to society. You need to obey the laws that are implemented. A lot of laws that I don't agree with. I don't agree with gun laws. As of this morning, I learned about Colorado's assault ban, and it goes beyond just the assault rifles or assault weapons, which in itself the name is very misleading. Um, but that goes to show how uneducated people are and how the school system has, in a way, failed us, or misinformation is winning. Um, if I were to say to the audience right now, what does AR stand for in AR-15? Everyone's going to go, oh, assault rifle. No, it's Armalite rifle. And you got a lot of politicians who think bump stocks make guns automatics. No, they don't. And people don't understand when it comes to a pistol brace, that was originally designed for disabled veterans, much like myself, who has a bad shoulder. That was to help them shoot as a hobby. And now all of a sudden it's being banned. You look at how the ATF, they did, the director of the ATF did some video, and one of the people that he was with, they were explaining how easily accessible it is to get firearms and how dangerous they were, and they couldn't even take apart a Glock, which showed me that they are not experts. The politicians don't know what they're talking about. Even directors of the ATF don't even know what a firearm is, or even how to take it apart. Which is why in the gun community, we emphasize, as much as people from the left might be looking at us like we are gun-loving, unsafe individuals, as someone who's identifies as part of the gun community, the amount of safeties, the amount of rules that we have that we've implemented on ourselves is ridiculous. But it's for our safety, it's for other people's safety. But we hope that if we regulate ourselves with these rules, for example, treating a gun as if it's loaded, don't point at something you don't intend on shooting, knowing what's behind your target, those are a few rules that we have put upon ourselves in hopes to show politicians or people that disagree with guns that we can be safe, reliable gun owners, only for politicians to turn around, well, this is dangerous. That's a bump stock. This is dangerous too. That's an arm brace. Well, this is dangerous. What's wrong with having a 30-round magazine? And at the end of the day, kind of bringing this back full circle, there are a lot of rules that I don't agree with. Our taxes are going towards our taxes are going to places I don't agree with. And I just want to live somewhere where I can be left alone from the craziness of a lot of bullshit laws that I don't agree with, from where our society is going, and I really just kind of want to be left alone. And with that being said, at this moment in my life, that is why I'm moving away from the fire department very slowly, where a great example is, as a medical first responder, we had to take into account when I was going through my medical class that there are people that are going to identify as something else. For example, a man identifying as a woman. Well, I've also been told that you can't, give into their people's delusions, but at the same time, like, we have to treat you as your sex. But the fact that this was even brought up is just a testament to how modern society affects how we go about learning medical and how we conduct medicals moving forward. I'm tired of driving down not Main Street. There's the metropolitan area, the business district in Colorado Springs. There's a lot of woke companies there, and being woke is one thing, but there are just pride flags everywhere, and it's political, and I just don't want to see that. But if I had to be the devil's advocate, there's churches everywhere. But I believe that, and people might disagree, that the whole concept of church is to know and understand God to better yourself in a very godly manner. Unfortunately, people aren't stupid, and they know that there are churches out there that take advantage of the common folk, churches that have abused society, and I'm thinking of the Catholic Church in the 14 or 1500s, or how the Vatican helped the Nazis flee Germany. Or you hear about some of the sexual abuses that the church does. Those are some bad churches that are false churches. And you can never know which church is the real church. But going back to just, going down the street in Colorado Springs, there's people with their political flags, and I just don't want to be a part of it. I miss walking into a store without seeing any kind of flag. It doesn't even matter if it's a MAGA flag or an LGBT flag. Just, I'm there for your product. I'm not there for the extra stuff. And just really trying to just get away from it. As much as I've made these videos about politics, expressing my beliefs and trying to give reasonable explanations as to why I believe and what I believe, at the end of the day, it is very mentally taxing. It's very annoying. Politics is drama. I can't help but people look at politicians these days no different than they look at the Kardashians. Oh, what's Joe Biden up to today? Oh, what's Kamala Harris up to today? What's Donald Trump up to today? And then you hear about, ooh, did you hear what Donald Trump said about Joe Biden? Oh, did you hear what Joe Biden said about Donald Trump? And, I'm starting to see similarities where, the Kardashians are full of drama, and I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. But now you hear about people talking about, what politician said something about another politician, and it's no different. But again, the whole point of why I made these videos about my political views is to give the audience an idea of where I want to live and why, to help better gauge where I actually do want to move to. Because with everything that's currently going on in Colorado, well, now I really don't want to live here. When I first moved here 2 years ago, I think it was a decent state, way better than Washington State. But now with everything going on, I don't know. I really don't know. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, it just ties down into people voting for stupid people, unfortunately. And it just makes me wonder how certain politicians got into politics in the first place, or how they got elected. And I also can't help but feel that the Constitution, instead of being the law of the land, is now a guideline, an optional guideline. It talks about in the Second Amendment that it shall not be infringed, and already every state, to some extent, has some kind of infringement. Even our First Amendment has changed. Now there's things you really can't say anymore. Everyone's just so offended. And being politically correct is just a mind fuck. I'm tired of it all. I really am. I understand these videos are kind of a hypocrisy to what I just said. With these videos, I'm kind of feeding into the system. but also, like previous videos and future and videos to come, getting that feedback from people from all walks of life, getting people's opinions, getting people's point of views, to help me understand why things are the way they are. I'm going to take a small break from taking videos, maybe about a week. I've been knocking these out, but our next video series will actually be where I want to live and why. We'll be talking about all the states that I want to live, why I want to live there, my concerns with moving there, and we will be going in alphabetical order. Not every state will be included. These are just the states that I deem at the time being desirable. But while I'm making these videos, if someone from the audience comments, for example, hey, you should move to South Dakota because this and this and this and this. Okay, I'll look into it, and then maybe I'll make a video about South Dakota, which I'll say right now. South Dakota is a state that I don't really want to move to, not because I don't want to move to it, but because I don't know much about it, and I haven't really given it a second thought. With that being said, thank you for watching this political series very much.